Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there, having a fantastic start to your day, and hope you all been having a great weekend out there so far. Here to give you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise for your Sunday. The big topic is going to be cold and snow and a lot of rain, so I guess there's multiple big topics there. But we got light to moderate snow this morning, overspreading portions of the Midwest, the Great Lakes region. We got rain down to the south. No severe weather to talk about, so that's the good news, but a pretty hefty system that is actually going to strengthen as it gets off the coast of the Northeast. So we'll get you all the details, how much rain is going to fall over the next 24 hours, how much snow. We're going to get pretty detailed on the lake effect snow event because behind this light to moderate snow overspreading, like I said, areas in the Midwest, Great Lakes region, is a punch of cold air that will really get the lake effect snows going across the Great Lakes region. And some areas could see several inches, over a foot of snow. So we'll talk about that. We'll break it down. And then stay tuned for tonight. We will get you some details on the coldest air of the season that will continue to move in behind this system that's affecting most of the eastern U.S. today into tomorrow. So how cold will the temperatures get? What are we seeing going a little bit deeper into maybe the first several days of December? We'll talk about it in this evening's video and get you guys covered. So if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you notice a difference in my voice, I was at a game last night screaming my tail off, so I'm a little hoarse. So yeah, if you do notice that's the reason. So I apologize if I sound kind of graspy or if my voice does break in this video a little bit. But if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. So let's start off by looking at the water vapor loop. I think, we took a break from looking at the water vapor loop for a few videos, but I think it shows what's going on pretty well. So if you look down here, you see the white on your screen across the southern states. This is a lot of moisture riding up. It's getting pulled up from this upper trough, digging down here with an associated cold front. And behind this is a big time punch of cold air, especially that's going to move across the Great Lakes region. So this will be our coldest air of the season, about to move in, especially for the southeast, where as we get a little bit deeper into this work week, I mean, we're going to have low temperature deep into the 20s for areas pretty far south. Now, as a ridge built somewhat over the western U.S. trough, jet stream digging down here, this is helping to pull up this moisture down here, and ahead of it you just got a big old system in general. So right here in between, this white right here, this is falling in the form of snow. So we got snow moving into Chicago as we speak right now. Probably down here is more so rain, but you guys will have to let me know how much snow you saw yesterday. I would love to know. Kansas City area, I think the forecast snow-wise went up as the storm was really cranking up. Let me know what you guys saw in Kansas and then northern Missouri, anywhere, Oklahoma. I would love to know. But this system, basically in general, is continuing to move eastward, and pretty much every state in the eastern U.S. will at least see a little bit of rain, and areas of the southeast could see a good bit of rain depending on where you are. So this punch of cold air will overspread over the Great Lakes region, and then with the cold air moving over these bodies of water, which are still relatively warm for the most part. I mean, not warm like in the 70s or 80s, guys, but you get what I'm saying. You can get lake effect snow basically throughout the entire winter, unless some of these Great Lakes, which are the shallower ones, freeze over, and then the lake effect snow is pretty much cut off. But that doesn't happen every single year. So we'll get this off your screen, and then we'll get going. And we will talk about this lake effect snow event coming up. We'll get some details for you folks, and then we'll do it again tonight. But as far as what's going on right now, I would argue some of this isn't hitting the ground like it's showing, but a lot of it is, at least in the form of some light snow. But snow is moving into the Chicago area right now. It's already beginning to accumulate on the roads just west of Chicago. But you start to get into southern areas of Indiana. This is falling just in the form of some heavy rain. Rain moving through areas of western Tennessee, rain moving through areas of Mississippi. We need it, and a big plume of heavy rain down here for the deep south. I kind of mentioned that. Listen, I mean, we were going to enter maybe not necessarily a rainy pattern, but the pattern was going to shift. We're at the point where we're going to see more storm systems in the deep south, and I think that will continue to be the common theme. Where, in my opinion, I think we'll at least get one storm system a week across, especially the areas of the deep south. But anyways, this entire system will continue to overspread into the eastern U.S. And a lot of people are waking up to some pretty cold temperatures. You would think, man, is there a winter storm coming? I mean, even down in North Carolina, you're deep into the 20s. But a warm, moist air will surge in, and we'll get you guys into the 50s today. I know you're thinking that's not warm, but it's warm enough to not get any kind of winter weather. But this will continue to overspread. Snow's falling in northern Indiana, light snow into areas of Michigan, but it's really the cold air behind this that really gets those, like I said, those lake effects snow bands going across Lake Michigan, Superior, Huron, into southern Ontario, all of them, Ontario, Lake Erie. Yeah, so they're really going to get kick-started here, but this is what's going on right now. The western U.S. pretty quiet. As far as the Storm Prediction Center, just a general risk of thunderstorms, nothing severe, thankfully. From basically New Orleans all the way to Tallahassee, pretty much all the way to Jacksonville, all the way down to Tampa. So you do have that general risk of thunderstorms. Nothing severe at all to speak on. And then even the flooding threat, with all this moisture ongoing, I mean, the threat for flooding is below 5%. So it doesn't even show up on this map. So that's good news. Just a nice, steady, soaking, beneficial rain. So watches and warnings. We got wind advisories across the Dakotas. It'll be breezy and it'll be cold. Also, we got some freeze warnings out west, in the valleys of California, where you will flirt with the freezing mark if you're not already doing so this morning. And then you see the purple colors in here. That is winter weather advisories ongoing from the ongoing snow. And then we got winter storm warnings up here in the UP of Michigan. This is where several inches to maybe a foot of snow could fall from this lake effect snow bands that will set up after this system pulls through. And then we got winter storm watches up, okay, for areas of northwest Pennsylvania, areas of northeast Ohio, even areas in the Adirondacks. Winter weather advisories where accumulating snow will fall. Several inches could fall up here in Maine. But one thing you do not see on this, and we will show you, is you got a lake effect snow warning up for some counties here in northwest Pennsylvania, even the extreme western counties of New York State, and a few counties in northeast Ohio. So you guys are familiar with that up there. I mean, typically when you get under a lake effect snow warning, it's equivalent to a winter storm warning, except the snow is being driven off lake effect snow bands. So potentially a big one for sure for you folks. So let's break down the southeast first. This morning, like I said, rain's overspreading the Gulf states along the Gulf Coast, and this will continue. We start to get into about early afternoon. Just some light rain showers, light rain all the way up to Kentucky. I don't think you'll pick up a lot of rain, but just enough for it just to be damp today. Same thing with Nashville, not a lot of rain. Into Chattanooga, Knoxville, just some rain showers. Birmingham, down to Montgomery, maybe some more heavier rain. But, this kind of takes over throughout the afternoon, kind of creates for a damp, kind of rainy afternoon. But if you're down in the Panhandle, Florida, this will fall in the form of moderate to heavy rain. Definitely not just your light kind of shower activity. And by the time you get to about mid to late afternoon, rain pretty much overspreads the entire state of Georgia, starts to move out of Alabama, starts to move into South Carolina. And might be a good day just for a nap across areas of the South after church or whatever you may be doing, just a nice Sunday nap. It'll definitely be a rainy one. It'll be cold for Deep South standards, just highs in the 50s. So it'll feel kind of just like a raw January day. It really will. But I think we're going to get many days like this here in the coming months. I really do. And then eventually we might begin to flirt with some winter weather. I do think we'll get some winter weather chances in the Southeast this season, guys. I really do. But we start to get into this evening. Rain overspreads pretty much all of southeast Georgia. Maybe some storms down here in northern Florida. Okay. And then just some light rain showers across the southern Appalachian region. And then we start to get deeper into the evening. Just a rainy night for areas of the eastern Carolinas. But still just shower activity across the Carolinas. And then some rain for southeast Virginia later tonight into the wee hours of the morning. Then maybe a little bit of snow. Northwest flow snow setting up for the Central Alps region. So how much rain today? Well, the Deep South, just a few 1/100ths of an inch once you get away from the coastline of the Gulf of Mexico, but a half inch to as much as an inch, inch and a half, maybe 2 inches of rain between now and the rest of the events in areas of the Panhandle of Florida. And speaking of more of Florida here, I think the heaviest rain, I don't think you'll get much rain in central to southern Florida, but you get up into northern Florida, Ocala, Jacksonville, Gainesville, points north into the extreme southern counties of Georgia, anywhere from an inch, inch and a quarter, inch and a half of rain. A soaker of a Sunday afternoon for you folks into this evening for sure. And then you start to get into the Carolinas. And yeah, I think more rain than this could fall. In fact, we look at the National Weather Service forecast, and I mean, it's not much different, but they are really not giving the Midlands of South Carolina much rain. But if you look at the latest HRRR model, a little bit more rain than this shows, but they're really thinking a lot of this rain is going to be light, but not really giving any rain for the upstate. I don't know if I agree with that. I think we're going to get some shower activity. Now, the shower activity is not going to add up much in the Piedmont, North Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina, but I do think it'll add up to a few 1/100ths of an inch of rain. I really do, but that's what the professionals are saying. We'll leave it to them. But the Northeast today, it's a quiet start. It's a cold start. You would almost think, man, there's got to be a winter storm coming, but it's not the case. Some showers will kind of move from the south to the north through the Delmarva, so kind of a rainy late morning, early afternoon throughout the Delmarva region as this low pressure begins to crank up off the coast of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. But here comes the rain. Ohio, rain will move in from the west. Late this morning, overspread, just light rain. The far northwest counties of Ohio could likely see some snow. Remember, we were thinking Detroit was going to see some snow from this. Well, it's looking like it's a little bit too warm, so I don't know if you're going to see much snow from this at all, Detroit, if any at all. It's definitely changed for you folks, so we'll see what happens. But some showers moving through West Virginia throughout the afternoon. This begins to head out of Ohio, and then we'll kind of fix our eyes on this area. Some heavier areas of rain in Pennsylvania throughout the late afternoon, evening time frame. Light rain entering western Pennsylvania. Still got rain showers down into West Virginia. And then this is when just a very rainy night begins to take hold of southern New England. It'll be breezy, a chilly rain, and thankfully this will kind of move into the nighttime hours, and it kind of waits till that. But the interior Northeast, these higher elevations, snow will fall. Adirondacks, it could just stay all snow in this area, wet snow. Higher elevations of Vermont and New Hampshire, and this continues. And man, if you depending on what you live in, you are really going to hear the rain falling tonight in southern New England. This is right in the middle of the night, for example, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Heavy rain moving over Long Island into Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Heavy rain. And the closer you get tucked into the southeastern areas of Massachusetts, the windier it's going to be. You got 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts mixing with this also. And then the cold air begins to kind of move in behind this, and then this is when the lake effect snow really cranks up south of Buffalo down to Erie and just off the shores of Lake Erie. And eventually Lake Ontario will start to see the snow. But you're waking up tomorrow morning with an all-out winter weather event for northern areas of New Hampshire, and then basically all of northern and western Maine, waking up to some pretty heavy snow, but it's just heavy rain in the coastal regions, the down east areas of Maine for you folks. And but it could stay all very heavy snow up here. And then look behind this. These are some mean lake effect snow bands. Could we get some thunder snow off these? It happens almost every time. It's very possible. But you're going to get these streamers just enhancing off each other from there's lake to lake connection going on. Southern Ontario, you're going to be getting some big time action off Lake Huron. And yeah, so as far as rainfall from this, just 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of rain in Ohio, northern Kentucky, West Virginia. We look at snow in this region. It's very, all right. Thank you. We look at snow up here, and it's not, you could get a dusting of snow from this first little event and northwest areas of Ohio, but not much. But it is picking up on a little bit of a dusting of snow in these higher elevations of West Virginia, so it's very possible. Now you start to look at the Northeast and New England. Man, just a soaker tonight. A lot of this rain falls overnight tonight. 2 inches of rain in areas of southern New England, especially the closer you get to the coastal regions, all the way up to the southeast portions of New Hampshire. A lot of moisture, guys. 1 to 2 inches of rain. This is going to be cold rain. Now up here, this will fall in the form of wet snow for sure. But you know, you're going and you're getting a little bit closer to our folks down here in Massachusetts, and I mean, an inch or two of rain is going to fall in Boston tonight, Rhode Island. Yeah, just a stripe of very heavy rain down to these regions all the way up to Augusta. And yeah, a lot of heavy rain in these regions, guys. But speaking of the snow, this is really the lake effect snow starting to crank up tomorrow, okay? But this snow right in here, this is a few inches, maybe several inches in the higher elevations of the Adirondacks. It could fall from this first system. Same thing, and you just got to get higher up to see snow. This first system is kind of a warmer system. But you know, a few inches of snow is possible in the higher elevations of Vermont, New Hampshire. You know, the potential is there for you guys to get a little bit more heavy snow just because the low starts to deepen and throw some heavy moisture, and mainly because this low really kind of goes right into Maine. But several inches of snow is possible to likely in these areas of northern Maine to western Maine. So I know this really isn't a big event for you guys in general, just because several inch snowfall events are a pretty normal thing this time of the year, even for you folks in Maine. But definitely be prepared. This will be a wet snow. I know typically you are more used to probably a dry snow, but this will probably be a heavy wet snow up here. So definitely be prepared for that. So, but winds tonight. This is the National Weather Service. I mean, you know, out here. And, you know, Nantucket, you know, Martha's Vineyard, I mean, it's going to be very windy, okay? Southeast Mass, 30, 40, maybe potentially for 50 mile per hour wind gust out here. So, you know, that's, you know, you guys can handle that. You know, you deal with nor'easters every year that produce stronger winds than that. But even some gusty winds, 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts, even just in southern New England in general. So some windy times coming up tonight. You'll notice the winds will pick up. Maybe some isolated power outages. It's possible, but I don't think it'll be a big deal for you folks. The south central U.S., this system pretty much clears out. Some lingering showers are possible in southeast Louisiana, but you know, for the most part, it dries out, calmer conditions, and there's not really a lot to speak on. You know, if you live in Kansas, I mean, even the Panhandle of Oklahoma, I saw where you guys actually dealt with some freezing rain, a little bit of sleet to start, and then you switch to snow. But let me know how much snow you guys saw. I would love, and I'm not just biased towards Kansas City, but it was interesting watching the snow totals kind of increase the forecast for Kansas City, and I kind of mentioned that area is an area to see more than what was expected. So I would like to know how much you guys saw in the Kansas City area. Did y'all see any snow? You seen any snow this morning in St. Louis, northern Missouri? Let me know how much snow you guys saw. I would love to know, reading the comments later on. But the north central U.S., definitely a lot going on today. In fact, you know, you look at the radar and what's going on in Buffalo, and snow is beginning to Buffalo and Chicago. Snow is beginning to move in. If you look at these reports right here, snow accumulating on the roads just west of Chicago. Same roads and sidewalks, same thing. Snowing in Rockford. Looks like they're reporting snow all the way up in Green Bay. St. Louis, you know, looks like you guys are just seeing rain based off these reports, and these are pretty consistent reports too. But just up the road, snow, and Columbia, Missouri. Seen a mix of rain and snow. So unfortunately for my snow lovers in St. Louis, this, you know, we kind of talked about that last night, how the system trended warmer. We were afraid you guys would stay rain, and that's looking like to be the case. But down here at Champaign, not sure if y'all say Champaign or Champaign. You guys correct me, but you seeing snow? This is overspreading. So I'm going to use this term a lot more, but just because of the holidays, but you know, a festive snow falling. For wait until today to put up the Christmas decorations. It'll be a great day to do it. It really will. So we'll get this back off your screen here, and we'll get this rolling. So this will continue. This is kind of the first system. I have to get this rolling again. This is the first system. This will continue to move. And, I mean, you guys could get a burst of heavy snow down there in central Illinois throughout the morning hours, and this will continue to overspread. It'll be snowing throughout the morning hours in Chicago. Could pick up a couple inches of snow in Chicago. And then this continues to move into this afternoon. You know, I'm talking about 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You could switch to some snow right at the end in Indianapolis, but I think you got to get north. And unfortunately, I don't have my phone pulled up to kind of mention some towns and cities. So I do apologize about that. I try to do that for you folks, but I will pull up a graphic here in a second that will show some towns and cities. But if you live in northern Indiana, snow's already beginning to move in. I think you'll get a stripe of a couple inches of snow from this for sure. as a wet snow will fall. It'll kind of take some time to really add up, but I do think it will. But, you know, some maybe moderate to at times heavy snow begins to take over most of southern areas of Michigan. And like I said, you know, the far northwest counties of Ohio could switch to and just stay some moderate snow throughout the afternoon. But it's looking like Detroit, you guys are going to hang on to that warm air and stay mostly rain. We'll see what actually happens. But this system in general has trended a little bit warmer. So, but just light, moderate, at times some heavy wet snow could fall across most of lower Michigan. But as you can tell, cold air is funneling behind and the lake effect snows are about to crank up here on Lake Superior. And this moves on through. Last little bit of snow into the evening hours. Could switch to some light snow down here in western Ohio. Last little bit of snow from this system starts to kind of head off into southern Ontario. But then right behind it, this is when the lake effect snows really get going later tonight around midnight. And that's when your typical areas like Grand Rapids all the way up into the northwest corner of lower Michigan. This is when your lake effect snows start cranking up. So this is when you stay tuned to your local people. But I am going to show you how much your local National Weather Service is showing for your region. But, you know, you start to get into the wee hours of the morning, waking up tomorrow morning, going throughout tomorrow, all the way to midday. And these are going to be some, you know, if you just happen to be a community town, whatever, you know, just locked into one of these lake effect snow bands, they will, you know, you guys know, you know, they'll dump 2 inches of snow per hour on your areas. But these will just kind of be wisping along throughout the region throughout tomorrow afternoon, and definitely just yeah, and just as the wind flow shifts tomorrow night, you know, this might move in more so from the north to the south. So, and then we're going to watch an area of snow down here. We're going to talk about this tonight. If you look right here at the bottom of your screen, the models are the HRRR models picking up on an area of snow for southern Indiana, southern Illinois, even into western Kentucky, okay, as we're getting into tomorrow night. So we're going to talk about that, okay. This could bring some snow a little bit further south into the Ohio River Valley, Kentucky, Ohio. So we'll talk about that tonight. So how much snow from this first event, right? This is already falling, so I'm not sure how much you guys already have in northern areas of Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and even eastern sections, and it's probably still snowing back here a little bit in northern Missouri, but eastern sections of Iowa. But just this first event, you know, it could dump an inch and a half of snow, 2 inches of snow potentially. In northern Indiana, same kind of deal. In southern and especially southwestern sections of Michigan, 2 inches of snow. Chicago could squeeze out an inch, but it's really what happens after this, guys. You know, as the lake effect snows begin to crank up, look at them really adding up. And this is all the way through Thursday morning. You know, 8 to 12 inches is a common theme for these favored areas. Now, there's going to be some areas that aren't favored from the flow here, like, you know, in the central UP, but, you know, 4 to as much as 8 to 12 inches of snow as possible in these lake effect snow regions. But of course, there's going to be certain areas that are favored, okay? But just a closer look for some of these areas, and this is going to be kind of blurry on your screen, but I love to pull up these graphics, even though it makes the videos a little bit longer. But, you know, between now and, when is this? 7 a.m. Tuesday. So there's a potential that this is still ongoing. So this is really just the next, you know, all the way till, you know, Tuesday morning. So we could get more snow after this, but just between now and then, 5 to 8 inches in Ironwood. What is it, Houghton? I should know this by now. I've been decided to say that a million times. Houghton. You guys, 3 to 5 inches. Copper Harbor, 2 to 5 inches. And Mussoning, was it Moon Sissing? Man, I just need to stop. I'm really struggling this morning. 6 to 10 inches of snow. You guys are probably laughing up at me in the UP. I'm not good with doing it on the fly. If you give me about a minute to think about it in my head, to kind of just marinate over it, I probably can figure it out. But when I'm doing it on the fly, I'm not great. But Newberry region, 5 to 7 inches. And yeah, and down here the Gaylord, you guys, 6 to 8 inches of snow as possible from that favored area in the northern sections of lower Michigan. But, you know, not much right here in this region. This is maybe a kind of a smaller event for the Marquette region, 2 to 3 inches. So we'll see what happens with that. My folks off Lake Erie. Okay, this is just the forecast through 1 a.m. Tuesday, so not a lot, just a couple inches of snow. This is kind of that first wave. Now, this is from 1 a.m. Tuesday to 1 a.m. Wednesday. I mean, that's just 24 hours. Mentor, 8 to 12 inches of snow. Chardon, 8 to 12 inches of snow. And yeah, Erie going for 8 to 12 inches of snow right off the lake. So, these areas are under lake effect snow warnings, okay? And even Cleveland, I mean, you could pick up a half a foot of snow from this. You're right at the tail end of the banding that's going to set up. Cleveland's always a wild card region with this lake effect snow event. So certainly going to be interesting to watch this. But on up the road, now this will definitely be a little harder to see. The graphics much smaller, but you see these green areas, that's lake effect snow warnings, okay? It's going to be a big deal. Watertown going for 8 to 12. Buffalo only 1 to 2, but you go just south of town, you start to get into these Springfield areas, just the community south of Buffalo. This happens a lot with the banding that sets up, but you got to get south of Buffalo before you get into the hefty snowfalls, and that's when you start to get to the potential for a foot and a half of snow. So we'll watch for that. It's going to be interesting setup for everybody for sure. So out west, it's quiet, not a whole lot to speak on. The only area I'd watch is some light, maybe some burst of heavy snow that can move through eastern Montana, even into areas of the western Dakotas. But I mean, it's kind of that same kind of deal happened yesterday too. I don't think it's going to catch anybody off guard. And in fact, it's not going to add up to much. Might put a dusting of snow on certain areas, certain elevated surfaces. There's probably still snow on the ground out here from the last system, but definitely be expecting this. But it's going to be a cold day across the country. The only area that's going to be pretty warm is Florida. 80s. It's going to be a nice day in Florida before the rain and humidity really builds in. But there could be an area in Virginia that doesn't get out the 30s or 40s, with just cloud cover that really builds in. Just a cold, raw, rainy day. But the Carolinas, Georgia, cold. I mean, the kind of the Gulf coastline could stick into the 60s, but it's going to be raining, so it's not going to be enjoyable. But everybody else, just a chilly day. Definitely just a chilly, raw Sunday for a lot of folks. And you're starting to clear out from the middle of the country, but it's going to be cold. It's going to be very cold, just 30s, 40s. I mean, Dallas, Fort Worth, maybe just around 50 degrees a day. And a lot of the country is just below average. Just about the entire country except Florida is below average temperature wise today. So stay tuned for tonight. Probably late afternoon, evening time frame. Typically just the same areas, that time frame as I always do it. But I'll get you guys an update. We're going to talk about the cold air coming up this week. Okay, we're going to probably revise the information for the lake effect snow event. Then we're going to speak on what's to come. What am I seeing? We're going to talk about some things that might confuse some people. Talking about blocking in Greenland, negative NAO. There's an interesting pattern that could emerge, and there's become a wild card in the original thinking of what December was going to do, and it still could. But I've mentioned that a lot of people think December for the central and eastern U.S. is warmer than average. Well, there could be some things that get tossed into that. So we're going to talk about that, break that down, talk about what we're seeing, and figure it out for you folks. So thank y'all for the support. Y'all guys have a great Sunday. God bless all y'all, and I'll talk to you soon.